All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Introduction to Business, Business 110 here at Wilson Community College for the summer 2026 semester. And so I hope everybody's doing well. And again, welcome to this class. My name is Navi Puni. I'm going to be your instructor for this course. So, how often will I record and post videos? It just kind of depends on time allowed over this semester, but I'll do my best to at least record a few of them so that when you leave this class, you at least, for those of you that watch these videos, you at least feel like that you are walking away with something. So, what I'm going to do first, I'm going to introduce myself a little bit more in depth. We're going to go through our course in terms of our course modules or our cell inside of Moodle. I'm sorry, one second. And then I'm just going to talk a little business with you guys, and I'll try to cover a little bit of what I believe to be the important parts of maybe chapter one and two, or maybe just chapter one. And I'll do my best to keep it condensed and short and entertaining for you guys. So again, my name is Navi. Well, everybody calls me Navi. This is my full government name. That's me right there. So I'm actually a Wilson local. I have been here in Wilson for, I mean, on and off, about 25 years, well, 20, about 21 years. I've been in North Carolina for 25 years, 25, 26 years. So I graduated locally here from Pike High School. I also went to Barton College, which is, well, I'll talk about that here in a second. After Barton College, where I got my undergrad, so my bachelor's in business management, I went to Holt International Business School where I acquired my master's in international business. And so, and something about Holt is that because it's an international business school, you have the option to go to other campuses across the world and actually study there. So I lived in Shanghai, China for the first 9 months of my program. I worked and I'm sorry, I studied and lived there, took classes, drove a scooter, the whole, learned how to speak Mandarin, the whole 9 yards. And then later on, I actually thought that maybe I would just kind of want to travel around the world while working. So I got my TEFL certification, which is teaching English as a foreign language. There's a lot of people out there that get their TEFL certification, go out to different countries around different countries have different price points in terms of what they'll pay you to go out there and teach English. For example, if you think like Bali, Indonesia, everybody wants to go to Bali, Indonesia. Therefore, because there's so many, right? And this is the first lesson for you guys, which is supply, demand, and price, right? And so some people call it supply, demand, and value. If you have a high supply of something, so in this case, you have a high supply of people going to Bali, Indonesia, and wanting to teach English, and you've got just a stable demand, right? So high supply, stable demand. Therefore, the price, inevitably, just the law of supply, demand, and price, which governs really a lot of aspects of our modern world, they're going to be paid less because it's just so saturated. So many people are there trying to teach English. On the opposite end of the spectrum, if you think about a place like Kuwait, right? Kuwait, Qatar, these places in the Middle East, they're willing to pay you five, $6,000 a month, and maybe even provide you with some housing and accommodation, and maybe a stipend for food or something of the nature. Because again, supply, demand, and value. The supply of people that are super eager to go to Qatar and start teaching English is pretty low. And the demand is relatively stable. Therefore, they're willing to pay a higher price, a higher premium in order to get more supply of English speakers. So, anyways, I did not move forward with teaching English. I ended up, of course, in higher education, which again I'll talk about shortly. I have had a lot of work experience, which I'll talk about again in a second, and I hope I'm trying not to talk too much about myself. I worked at BB&, I worked at a gas station in forever. I mean, I was in gas stations for about 18 years, since I was a young child as well, about 14, 15, a little bit earlier, but I count 14 as my start point when I'm working all the time, just a bunch of hours. So I worked some, for GameStop when I was a freshman at college. I worked odd jobs in the admissions office on campus at Barton, the library. It was easy to work in the library, do my homework. So, right, I'm getting paid to do my homework. So I thought it was two birds, one stone. And then, of course, now I actually teach as a full-time business professor at Barton College. I spent some time working for BB&T prior, doing some cybersecurity fraud work. And so these days I teach at the community college, I teach at ECU, and I teach at Barton College full time. I'm sorry, full time at Barton, part time at the other two places. I taught at Campbell for 4 or 5 years. Now I just do a speaking engagement for them once a year. And I am the CEO and founder of Navi Consultants, which is my personal brand, which is basically teaching people how to become financially free. Just a short story about myself. When I was younger, of course, I'm working in gas stations all the time. Everybody's telling me I'm going to have to work until I'm 60, 65 years old. Well, I've already worked 10, 20, 10-ish years about at this point. And I remember thinking to myself, like, man, I really don't want to do that, right? And so, anyways, I basically teach and talk to people about how to become financially free, and basically leveraging various investment vehicles. So nothing is ever investment advice. I'm not a certified financial planner, investment analyst, or anything like that. I'm just a guy who didn't want to work until I was 65, 40 hours a week. And so I manifested and built that. And so I'm willing to share how other people can do that to achieve something similar. So, anyways, that is enough about me. Let me see here. Give me 1 second. I want to talk about the class. Let's see. So I'm here. For you guys, it would look something along this, and for me, it's over here. So I'm gonna look over here for a second. It'll look like this. You'll see Business 110, Introduction to Business. So we're going to click on that. You'll see that this is what is it, a 9 week course. It runs from May 18th to July 20th, with your final exam, I think, being on the 18th or 19th. We'll cross that bridge once we get there. The census date, I think, is already, it's coming up pretty close. It's next Wednesday, the 27th. If you have not completed your enrollment quiz, you need to do that or they're going to drop you from the class. So anyways, this is my contact right here at the bottom. You see it in all my announcements where I put my email address, this number, which is a text only number. You can only text it. And I also put this link to booking an appointment, right? Where you can actually book like a virtual Zoom session with me and we can talk through whatever you want to talk through. So feel free to email me or text me anytime you want to schedule something. Right here, right? So census date is actually today. So I hope you complete your enrollment quiz. You definitely need to get that done, or again, you will be dropped from the course. And that is not by my hand, that is by the institution. You will notice, so I'm sorry, let me go back. Here we are on the welcome page. Let me scroll all the way down and we click next. Next is going to take us right here where you will see two links. One is to our syllabus. Let me see, can I zoom in on that? Yes, I can. One is to our syllabus, very standard, very I don't know how else to say that, right? Very standard. You'll notice that I put the textbook is optional. I'm in the business of helping people make money, right? Not spend money on possibly a textbook that they'll never open. If you end up having trouble throughout class, feel free to contact me. But you've got the PDF document I give you. You've also got the PowerPoints, which I'll show you here shortly. And I think your quizzes are only 10 or 20 questions. I wanted to make it a little bit easier for everybody or less demanding since it is summer. And I'm a big believer in summers, right? You guys are all in college. So these are the last bit of summers that you're going to get. Then you get out into the working world and you're not going to get any summers. You're actually going to probably get 10, 15 vacation days a year plus 2 days off every week, hopefully, which is right what I would consider the best case scenario in the United States. Anyways, that's a whole different topic, right? Because then we start looking at what we call the quality of life, the happiness report in other countries, and the work week looks a little bit different, and we can see how that. And if we were in an online class, we'd have time to explore all of these things, right? About um, but here I'm telling you right now to take a look at it, the quality of life index, the happiness report. There's so many things out there that Gapminder Foundation, so it's called gapminder.org. So many things out there that you can use to get an idea of what the world looks like on the outside of the United States. Also, obviously, traveling and going out and seeing these different places really can give you a different perspective, right? A lot of people like to go to Europe, but again, I encourage people go to China, go to India, go to Mexico, right? It's our neighbor. Go to Guatemala. You know, these places are different from the lives that we live here in the United States, and I think it's very important to understand that to a degree. I mean, as much as you can, but at least, at the very least, to a degree. So anyways, here's our, again, take a time to take a look at your syllabus. You've got the final exam, which is 20%, quizzes, which is 80%. Normally in my classes, I give much larger quizzes and assignments that are due every week. But again, it's summer. I wanted to give you guys kind of just a little bit of a less demanding class so you can have some time to enjoy the summer. So all this standard stuff, take a look at on your own time. I'm not going to go through it. Let's see. Do AI. I would, telling you guys not to use AI. I'm a big believer in actually using all of your resources. There will never be a time in life where you go out and you're working a job, and somebody says, "Hey, I need you to accomplish X, Y, and Z," but you're not allowed to talk to anybody. You're not allowed to read any books. You're not allowed to use the internet, not allowed to use your phone, not allowed to use every single tool. When we think about business, and especially when we think about business management, management is the efficient and effective allocation of resources, right? So for you to successfully not only manage a business, but also manage yourself, manage other people, you have to be aware of every resource that is at your disposal, and you must be able to use them, right? Not only efficiently, right? So it works. I'm sorry, effectively, so it works, but also efficiently. So you're using the least amount of resources for the largest amount of or level of output. And so I encourage you all to use all of your resources, but what I warn you with or warn you against is that, when people used to be able to do mental math and people used to navigate with a map, right? So people used to do math in their head. People used to be able to get wherever they're going with the map, or even just reading street signs. The more technology advances, the more humankind outsources their thinking capabilities, right? So once the calculator came around, all of a sudden, no need to learn or remember how to do mental math. You can outsource and just put that thinking effort and capability on an outside device. Same thing happened with the GPS. And so I just warn you all that as AI progresses and gets smarter and smarter, and I love it, right? I also love technology. I love innovation. I love watching all the developments that are happening. I want to get in on it, make money from it, right? Just like I think everybody else, all of you all should. Right. If you do not know what to do right now, and obviously I understand investments, right? Stocks and real estate and Bitcoin, everything's very expensive right now. If I were to have to start over right now as a student, what I would do is I would go all in on AI. I would learn everything I possibly could about AI. I would, take all the free classes through Anthropic and Google and you name it. They're all giving. Why? Because supply, demand, and value. There is not enough supply of Americans and young people learning about AI to its fullest. But the demand is through the roof, right? So supply is low and demand is through the roof. Therefore, people are going to be willing to pay top premium as much as they possibly can for AI experts. You're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars in salary and strong negotiating rights for yourself as the employee, right? How many days off do you want a year? Do you want to work from home? Do you want a company car? Do you want a company phone, a company laptop? What do you want? the company will be willing to give it to you because the demand is so high for AI experts and the supply is so low. Therefore, the value and the price that people are willing to pay is through the roof. And salary and price does not always mean just the dollar amount. It's your benefits, right? It's your time off. It's the your how good is your insurance package. I mean, there's so many things. Is there an on-site daycare, an on-site gym? Are they giving you a car? Are they subsidizing your food? I mean, there's again, if we were in an HR class, there's thousands of things we could talk about. Um, there's thousands of things. So anyways, if you do use AI, I just want to know, right? How did you use it? What did you use? Why, which one did you use and how did you use it? Just tell me, right? I'm not gonna knock off points, but I encourage you to remember that human beings are beginning to outsource their thinking, their critical thinking capabilities to AI, and it'll only get worse and worse and worse and worse. Therefore, I encourage you all to, learn all there is to learn about it, but retain your ability to think on your own. Um, I'll leave you with that. So this is your course schedule. You'll notice that your chapter quizzes are due each week, right? Chapter one, due 5/24, chapter two, blah, blah, blah. It is considered late after the fact, but you will notice, and we'll take a look, that your quizzes do not close until July 19th. That is in case somebody is in fact late on one of the quizzes and wants to submit it. There's no need to email me. It's still open. You're welcome to go in, you're welcome to complete it, and I will see, when you submitted it. So do your best. This is, I want you all to, again, this is like one big deliverable. I'm not here to give anybody a bad grade. I'm just here because I enjoy teaching people about not only business and not only financial freedom, but I love helping students have a little bit more clarity about maybe what they can possibly do next. And I remember being a student, it was long ago, but still not too long ago. And I remember being extremely confused, very anxious, wondering where am I going to make money, how am I going to make money, all these different types of things at the time. So um, I'm blessed, I think a lot of faith and grit, persistence, perseverance, resilience, I mean, obviously these are all buzzwords, but there's a lot I would say that goes into it, and you have to really want it. So, anyways, this is your course schedule. Final exam being on the 19th. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. It'll be very, very simple. You've got your quizzes, and this will just be all of the quizzes together, basically. Maybe some different questions, but it'll still be the same chapters 1 through 8. So. I'd love to say, if you have any questions, let me know, but I'm just kind of talking to myself as of right now, so no one's got any questions. The next I put my LinkedIn page up here just for those of you that are interested in reaching out and connecting with me. Again, you can learn a little bit more about me. Feel free to connect. I'm always looking or always open to chatting with students. And I love to watch you all grow and what you're gonna today. Nobody know your classmates today are doing nothing, right? Maybe they're not working, maybe they don't have any experience, maybe they can't provide any value in your life or whatever you may be thinking. But I promise you, in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, everybody will have settled into their role, their careers, right? Their careers, their lives, their adulthood, their being will have developed. And so it does not hurt. I encourage everybody. You're paying for this, right? If you think about what are you paying for to the school system, not only are you paying for classes like this, but you're also paying for your network, right? You're paying for the people that you meet in your classes. You're paying for the professors. If you are not, one, if you do not have a LinkedIn page, you need a LinkedIn page. Two, if you are not keeping up with your classmates and professors, more than likely the best thing to do is either add them on some type of social media, right? Facebook, Instagram, but especially LinkedIn. You need to do that. Period. You need to do that. Um, Again, feel free to send me any type of message if you want to talk about, or feel free to just look at mine, copy what how I've built mine, or however you'd like. But feel free to let me know if you have any questions. I'm not as active as I probably should be, but I'm also more settled into my career. as you all are growing and starting new careers. If you like the first job that you get after you're out of college, you're one of the lucky ones, in my opinion, right? Most people, you do not want to overthink getting a job, right? So many people will be like, oh, well, do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? You'll never know until you don't try. Go, the job that you get, go and take it, right? It needs to be obviously a proper after college job, but you need to go take it, right? I don't care if it's sales or whatever it is. Go do it, see how you like it. I don't care if you do it for a week, a month, an object in motion stays in motion. As you say yes and have these different experiences in the workplace and in life, you will automatically recognize what you do not like. And over time, the compound experience of what you do not like will subconsciously push you into something that you do like. Um, so that is my LinkedIn page. And let's go back real fast. Okay. So that is this page. Let's scroll down. Again, some little extra information here. Take time to look at it on your own time, and let's go next. I've already posted two announcements. This is under the announcements section. I'll click announcements. If you're not paying attention to the announcements, this is where and how I will contact you all and communicate with you all. This is super important that you're checking these, you have your notifications on, and you're paying attention to them, or at least up to date on the announcements. So, and finally, without further ado, let's just take a look at chapter one. And it's already been long enough of a video, so I'll do chapter one. We'll talk about some of these important things, and I'll cut the video. Maybe I'll do chapter two if you guys are feeling it. It's like I would never know because obviously you're not there. Okay, all of your weeks, week one, week two, it doesn't matter which week it is, right? Even if I click here, you'll notice very similar structure. They all look just like this. One, it's in alphabetical order, but two, they all have something similar. Chapter one notes, chapter one PowerPoint, chapter one quiz. They will all, because they're the C's, they will all always be together. I always will add some extra stuff. If you have any trouble accessing this stuff, please let me know and I'll help out however I can. But I'm always adding just a little bit of extra stuff. Most of my classes, I make it required to go through all these things and take a look at it. But I've just added it here. I didn't add any discussion boards or anything that's like you have to take a look at it. I recommend you take a look at it, right? A lot of this stuff will, at least you've seen it, right? At least you will have seen it once or twice. Maybe you take the time to read through it, watch it, whatever the case may be. Um, but I really want you all to think about, what are you doing here, right? Why are you in this class? Why are you in college? Why are you, listening to me talk? It's more than likely because you want a job. Well, why do you want a job? You want a job because you want money. Well, why do you want money? Right? And so that should really be your question. People ask all the time, what do you want to do after you graduate? And most people always say, I don't know yet. And I am here to tell you that that is okay. It's okay to not know. Your job, your career is only 1/3 of your life, right? You've got a whole other 2/3 of your life that I'm sure is what is driving you and motivating you right now. And so I really, instead of thinking what you want to do job wise, I want you to think what you want to do, what you want to have out of this one and only life that we've been guaranteed or given. What do you want to do? What do you want to have? And I'm not asking you about your job. I'm asking you, what is the money going to be for? What are you going to use it for? I understand, okay, if you think about your Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and I'm going to actually just pop that up here real fast since I mentioned it, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Some of you may have seen it, maybe some of you haven't, but at the very least, you'll have seen it one time. And so this is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Most people are here within the first two. We are born in the United States. If you lose a tooth, you get some dollars, US dollars, for losing a tooth from the tooth fairy as you're growing up. you are born learning English and learning how to speak English. You are already from the get-go, from the start of the game, you are in a society where you're speaking the business language, the language of the world, right? Everybody everywhere is learning English. And you are using, transacting, and earning the US dollar, which is the world's reserve currency. I mean, automatically from the get-go, we are actually probably up here in the safety zone, right? Because you have clothing, you have food, you have access to water, right? You maybe have a roof over your head. Hopefully you have a roof over your head. But these, right? These are your security. So this is your basic needs, your food, water, air. Then right here, this is your safety, your housing, right? Your security. Maybe you get a job. Then we start moving up, love and belonging, right? Community, friends, relationships, esteem. This is where you start to become better, right? You start to move up the your corporate ladder and you start getting different types of recognition, right? Maybe employee of the year, maybe you get a promotion, a raise. This is boosting your status, your esteem. You get a newer car, you get a newer house, you start going on these trips, whatever the case may, you start buying these things that you always wanted, whatever it may be. And then, of course, self-actualization, where you become the best version of yourself and achieve everything you want to achieve. And there's debate on this, which I don't know why there is, but there are some people who believe that you can actually achieve self-actualization. I mean, I'm on the opposite side. I think that people can always get better. I think you can always improve. You can always learn more. There's just not enough time in our small human lives to do it all and become the best and most educated all around person we can be. We should always be striving to push ourselves further. And so, anyways, I've posted things here, right? So the inquiry into the nature and causes of the wealth of nations. I've got, let's see, the consumer price index, laws of supply and demand in economics, how it works, pestle analysis. Pestle analysis explained, Porter's five forces explain how to use the model. The US debt clock, right? As I mentioned, you want to be thinking about what you want to do and what you want to have, right? That there is a system in play in terms of um, the system needs everybody to be in the workplace technically 35 to 40 hours a week. And that is, I mean, hard to explain right now. And I would say in this short video without getting too far into a rabbit hole. But this, right? This is your US debt clock. Seems I was talking too much about the system uh, about the economy. It seems that my laptop died. So this is going to be a part two of what I was just talking about. So let's pick up where we left off. We were talking about the US debt clock, and I just was trying to say that this system requires everybody to be in the workplace, right? That's why unemployment numbers are such a huge deal. You need people to be working, and there's so many reasons why: GDP, tax income, I mean, taxes on many things, right? Your employer pays taxes, the employees pay taxes. You go out with that money that you're now making, you're spending that money, right? You're stimulating the economy, you're producing goods and services at your job, therefore contributing to GDP, overall gross domestic product, which, for better or for worse, is what our country looks at when thinking about our success, right? The United States success depends on or is viewed or portrayed as our GDP, right? The size and strength of our economy. So, anyways, let me get off of this and we'll go back a little bit. So, I just again, let me come here. Oh, maybe you couldn't see that. I'm sorry. Maybe you couldn't see the debt clock just then, but it is okay. Oh, yes, you could have. You could have. You could have. So let's come back here. Yeah. So as I was saying, this is what your modules every single week will look like. And so here you've got the US debt clock at the very end. And so again, every single week will look like that. Sometimes I may add some videos. If I do, for those of you that are at Watt, I think you're not able to access these videos without me sending them to a Miss Kathleen over at Watt. Just let me know if you have any trouble and what videos you have trouble on, and I will send them over to Kathleen so you all can view them. Um, but other than that, I just wanted to make a couple of mentions about, again, your chapters, some important parts from your chapter that I just want to mention. Your first part of your chapter talks about why study business. I thought this was really interesting. I really want to emphasize that no matter what you go into, whether you're a teacher or a politician or a nurse or a lawyer, dentist, doctor, engineer, it does not matter. There is business involved all around you. The outflow and the inflow of money is all around you in your personal lives, in your work lives. It is so important for you to learn as much as you possibly can about business. And so I think it's very important. I cannot stress the importance of learning about business. And so some things from your chapter that I think are very, very important for you all to take a look at. The at I think one is socialism, one is communism. I think looking at the business cycle is very, very important. Understanding nation's gross domestic product, very important. Um, the basics of supply, demand, and price. I think this is a fundamental law that again governs our world. Very important. Take a look at what is an oligopoly and a monopoly. I highly encourage you all to take a look or research what is corporate consolidation. Very important. Again, it affects everything around us. So, what is corporate consolidation? How did we get here where you only have two different types or companies that are providing you with cell phones, for example, right? I mean, there's so many monopolies, duopolies, oligopolies everywhere you look, the airline industry, the auto industry. If you see it happening, as far as I'm concerned, in the medical industry, with hospitals merging, eventually it'll happen with institutions, right? Maybe community college begin to merge or smaller colleges. I did see I can't remember what name of the colleges, but they merged recently or one acquired the other. This is all mergers and acquisitions goes right along with corporate consolidation. Extremely important for you all to take a look into. And then there's again, I put Pestle and Porter's Five Forces in your. It's right there inside of your chapter one stuff. I highly encourage you to take a look at it and understand some of these things. Um, it's already a 30-minute video. I could go much longer. Again, if we were in class, maybe we'd be together for like an hour and I could really go deep in on these different subjects. But what I highly recommend, what I can leave you with is that you should never stop learning, right? This whole the people that are making more money and or that are making more money, progressing, succeeding, they are the people that are um, really just never stop learning, right? Reading books, trying to understand different things. If you're not paying attention to business current events, I think it's very important to do so, right? Whether it's the stock market, the real estate market, the bond market. If you don't know what bonds are, look it up. Investopedia.com is a great website that I recommend everybody. I can even show you real fast what it looks like if I can find my 1 second. Okay, here. Wikipedia. And it looks like this, investopedia.com. Great place, just like a Wikipedia, but for investing. I learned so much from just a Robinhood account and Investopedia and just paying attention to business news, financial market news, things like that. There are some great books that I recommend. One is called The Bitcoin Standard. One is called um, As a Man Thinketh, From Poverty to Power. There was another, Who Moved My Cheese? I love this one, Who Moved My Cheese? It's a great, very short story novel, but very, very, I thought was a great, great book. And a lot of people, it's very impactful to a lot of people. So I encourage a lot of these things. I encourage you to continue learning. I encourage you to reach out, ask as many questions as you'd like, schedule a call. Let's chat about whatever you want to chat about your life. As far as I'm concerned, this is the only time where I mean, I'm basically willing to do what Navi Consultants does for other people, but for my students at no extra charge, right? You're not going to pay me anything extra. You're whatever you're paying the school is whatever you're already paying the school. But I'm willing, through these classes to talk to you all and see what, whatever you want to talk about. So again, if you watch this video all the way through, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's tough sometimes to just talk to myself and imagine that I'm talking to a classroom full of students. So I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you all are healthy, happy, and safe wherever you are. And again, feel free to contact me if you have any questions, and I'll do my best to post some more videos moving forward where I don't talk so much about the introduction and other things, but I'll maybe go over some other things, right? I'll show you guys a lot of things, hopefully. I know how to start businesses here in North Carolina, how to acquire already existing either brick and mortar businesses or online businesses. There's so much that is possible or that there is out there to learn. And I hope that I can share some of that with you all. So, anyways, take care, and I will hopefully meet you all someday. Bye bye.